guys, praise Jesus. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Becky. I bring you awesome, fun and timely content on all my platforms. So make sure you like, you comment, you share, and you definitely subscribe. I would really appreciate. I hope you guys are doing well. I am doing amazing. As you have seen from the title of this video, we are going to talk about why God sets us apart, and I am here to affirm that all of us are set apart for a reason. That you are not the same as your neighbor, you're not the same as your friends, for a very specific reason that God, has, that will lead you to your destiny, because our destinies are definitely different. So if you have known me for a while, if you actually know me, you would know that my story is not the easiest, it is not the grandest, but it is a story that is written by God, and I believe that with all my heart. So for the longest time, I kept asking, why me, why me? I lost my dad, I lost my mom, I have lost friendships. High school was not easy, family dynamics have not been easy. My guardian fell ill, for so many seasons. My question was always why? And I am not of the school of thought that we should not ask God questions. I believe that there's a time and there's a season where we need to ask God questions. Otherwise, we are going to run mad. So because I do not want to be crazy, I ask God questions, and these questions might never get answers. We might not have answers. At times you say we will understand when you get to heaven. I know there are things I will never understand, even on the other side of life, of eternity. And something to make peace with, but I think I have gotten the answer to my whys. I think I have gotten to a space where I understand a little bit more why I am the way I am, why my journey is different, why I am set on this path. And I have learned to accept that I am set apart for a reason, that I am different, that my story is different, that my experiences are different from anyone else's on the face of the earth, because I am just different. I am just different, and that is it. And there is beauty in that. There is so much beauty in being set apart and accepting that, God has consecrated me in this season for himself. There are seasons where I have felt like I don't have friends. There are seasons where I felt like I am alone in this. There are things I have had to deal with alone and silently and privately, and all those are seasons of being set apart. And in all those seasons, I keep reminding myself that it is not for nothing, that God has a bigger plan, that God has a bigger purpose for me. He will not isolate me to finish me. He's isolating me to grow me strong, to strengthen me, to teach me, to search me, to form and conform me to who he wants me to be when my season for being out there comes. When my season for being revealed comes, that I will have all I need. I will be equipped fully to walk in that space. And today, my encouragement, or the basis for this video, is definitely biblical. So today I am going to be sharing about Esther. I have a Bible here because I don't want to share my own things. It is scripture we know, it is a story we know, the story of Esther. I see myself so much in Esther. My favorite book of the Bible has to be Psalms and Proverbs. Esther is just a book that I read and I see a lot of myself in, if I can say that. So the book of Esther starts with what Vashti does to the king, and then the second chapter talks about the king getting angry and what he does in response to Queen Vashti's disrespect and dishonor. he asked her to come, was it? Let me see. To bring Vashti before the king with her royal crown in order to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to behold. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command. And yeah, the king became angry. So the king wanted her to come and show herself to the princess so that they can behold her because she was pretty. Of course, she was the queen. Back then, if you had to be a queen, you had to be a fine girl. You had to be a fine babe, not just looking anyhow. So she was pretty. She was called Antu to go show herself before the king and the princess as they were making merry, and she didn't go, and the king got angry. And that is, after that, it explains a bit more of what happened. And then now the king decides, you know what, since you've disrespected me, you've not honored my request, I will give this position to someone more deserving than you. And that is where Esther makes her debut into this beautiful story. So the king sent out for maidens to be sought out for and be brought and be prepared to be presented to him so that he could choose a queen in place for Queen Vashti. So say, let beautiful young, this is chapter 2 verse 2. Then the king's servant who attended him said, let beautiful young virgins be sought out for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of the kingdom to gather all the beautiful young virgins to the harem in Susa the capital, under custody of Hegai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women. Let their ointments be given to them, and let the maiden who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This pleased the king, and he did so. So that was the order. Go find beautiful, fine girls, bring them here, virgins, let them stay here, give them their ointments, give them their skin treatments, whatever they desire. Let them look the most beautiful they can look and present them before the king so that he can pick a wife in the place of Vashti. And it goes on to say that there was a Jew in Susa, the capital, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjaminite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem among the captives carried away when Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away. So he had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, the daughter of his uncle, who she had neither father nor mother, so she was an orphan. And the maiden was beautiful and lovely, and when her father and her mother died, Mordecai adopted her as his own daughter. So Esther is brought up by her uncle. He hears what the king is asking for, and he allows her, he gives her permission to go and join the rest of the maidens and stand a chance to be queen. All right, to be queen instead of Vashti. So it tells of the story. And then here, so when the king's order, and verse 8, so when the king's order and his edict was proclaimed, and when many maidens were gathered in Susa, the capital, in custody of Hegai, Esther also was taken into the king's palace and put in custody of Hegai, who had charge of the women. And the maiden pleased him and won his favor, and he quickly provided her with her ointments and her portion of food, and with 7 chosen maids from the king's palace, and advised her and the maids to the best place in the harem, for her to be taken care of. So she found favor with Hegai, who was in charge of all the maidens. He gave her ointments and also gave her 7 chosen maids from the king's palace. That is the favor that Esther carried. I can imagine when her parents passed on, she also asked why. I can imagine the confusion and the pain and the discomfort and everything she had to go through being brought up by her uncle, and her getting to this space and God just giving her favor. You get how her story is just building up to become this thing. But then the verse that struck me the most and that stands out to me the most about the topic that we are talking about, which is that you are set apart for a reason, is verse 10, and it says, Esther had not made known her people or kindred, for Mordecai had charged her not to make it known. And every day Mordecai walked in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was and how she fared. So Esther had been told by Mordecai, tell no one that you are a Jew. Don't tell anyone where you come from. Don't tell anyone that we are related. Don't tell anyone about your family. Tell no one nothing about yourself. You go there, look pretty, go before the king, and we will see where this goes. And I can imagine if Esther had not allowed herself to stay in that season of being different, to stay in that season of feeling isolated, to stay in that season of feeling like I am not connecting with everyone else because I am not sharing my story. Would we read about Esther in the Bible today? We find ourselves in situations where God is saying, for when I send you into this workplace, I want to set you apart. Don't be like anyone else. Do your work diligently. Don't involve yourself in office politics. Don't involve yourself in people's lives and don't overshare. Don't overdo things. And we are thinking, but then where is the fun in that? We sit and we are like, I'm not going to tell anyone who my family is. I'm not going to tell anyone that my uncle is Mordecai. I am sure even if she had told people that her uncle was Mordecai, she would have probably not been queen. Somebody would have found a way to just say, no, Mordecai is just using, what is this thing called? Is it nepotism? Probably someone would be like, no, this is giving nepotism because he's close to the king. Now his niece is here. You get it, would have brought a lot. But grateful that Esther was wise enough to understand that my season of isolation is just a little. It is just for a season. And I am so glad that she was able to obey and stay in that season of being different. I can imagine being in a house where people are being prepared to go and be chosen to be queen. Imagine how many people are there, how many fine babes are there. And in such spaces, you find everyone wants to show themselves. Everyone wants to say, no, my father is the queen of so and so kingdom, so I have better chances. My father is a friend of the king, so I have better chances. My uncle is a friend of the king. Imagine if Esther was just there like, yeah, my uncle is Mordecai and he's a friend of the king too. Like, girl, and I'm a Jew. And you get like, it would have not it would have not birthed this destiny we read about Esther and how she brought together the whole tribe of Israel and the Jews in that time to pray and fast and wait on the Lord until their lives were saved. We would never have heard that about Esther. And so this is just to show that every time God is asking us to be different, every time you sit and feel, oh, I am different, it is not a bad thing. It is the beauty that births destiny. It is the beauty that births obedience. And you're different because God made it like that. You are set apart for something greater than yourself. And I am so glad that I have an example in Esther. I have also other examples in the Bible of other different men and women that were set apart, that were just, Joseph was different. Joseph was not the same. He was not like his brothers. And see what birthed his destiny. So this video is just to encourage you and just to remind you that you are set apart for a reason. That things don't just happen to you just because, that God is not seated in heaven allowing things to happen to you just because he can. He has a reason and a purpose for every single thing that comes your way. And I pray that you receive the grace to stay different to the glory of God. I pray that you receive the grace to embrace your season of being set apart, because it will birth something greater, something so great you could never have imagined. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I just felt the urge to share that with you. Write me a comment down below if you enjoyed this video, and I will definitely see you guys on the next one. Remember to like, comment, share with all your girlfriends and family, and also subscribe. See you on the next one. Have yourselves a great one. Bye.